Hey YouTube, what's up? This is Diaphone, and today we're going to be doing a Guilty Gear Strive tier list. So I'm doing this video on the 2nd, recorded on the 2nd, which is about 1 month since Guilty Gear came out. I actually did a recent tier list analysis. I looked back at the tiers of Grand Blue, and I found that the most accurate tier list, or the accuracy, started to kick in at about 1 month, which is why I'm making my tier list now. I think we know a lot more about the game than we did week 1, week 2, and I want to take a look and see where I put these characters. And again, it's still early. I don't think this tier list is 100% accurate, but I think it's a good way to describe where I think character strengths and weaknesses are, and just kind of talk about the game using tier lists as a medium. Yeah, with that being said, let's get started. So let's get the easy ones out of the way, and we'll start with Soul. And I think Soul is in his own tier. You know, I think most tier lists that you guys have seen have Soul in top 5 or top 3 or top 1. Actually, the only people that don't have Soul in top 1 are like Japanese players who think Chipp is top tier, which I think he's top tier as well, but I think Soul's just on another level. I think in order for Chipp to outclass Soul, I think you have to be like playing perfect, and you have to be playing on like PS4. So like Alpha Blade and Command Grab are harder to react to. You have such a less margin for error, I feel. And it's really about like conditioning your opponent to somewhat reactable mix-up, right? Obviously, it's harder to react to in certain situations depending on how good the opponent is. But I think Soul is just, his strengths are crazy. I mean, you guys have probably seen the touch of death combos on Twitter. They're not an exaggeration. I mean, this character is just so strong. I saw this clip from Sonic Soul clip Deb stream. Watch how casually Deb did this 90% combo. Just casual 90%, talking to chat at the same time. Just a casual 90%. The fact that this character has a 3-frame 5L, which is like the best 5k in the game, does crazy amounts of damage, has very versatile specials. I think Vortex is one of the most underrated special. The fact that in the Eno matchup, you can't even throw Note against him because you could just Vortex on reaction full screen, and you can do that to some other characters. Bandit Bringer's really good. It's like super hard to anti-air. You're only -2 and you can backdash to like punish the throw. He just has so much going for him, not to mention the strength of strike throw in this game. And probably the 2 strongest players right now to beat are Deb and Punk, who both play Soul. What a coincidence. They are very strong players though. Oh, and Bon 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 just won the pre-Evo tournament with Soul, of course. So he has the results, he has the strength. I think it's pretty obvious. All right, after that, let's talk about A+ tier. So I think Ramlethal, Chipp I kind of talked about already. Who else we got? May and Leo. I think this makes it A+ tier. Let me explain each one. Chipp, I think, is number 2 in the game. I think he's just ridiculously strong. Some of his tools, such as jump 2 kick, are like insane. You can't anti-air it. It's plus on block. It's just easy to throw out. His 5S is crazy. His dash B, his neutral's really good because he has stuff like 5S, dash forward 5S. His strength is just really good. The part about his strength I don't quite get is like if you can consistently react to Alpha Blade and you can consistently react to leaf throw and his overhead. I do think like Chipp on PS4 is probably like S tier, but like PC having 3 or 4 frames less delay, you could block Chipp a little bit easier. I think he falls down to A+, which is why I do think he's number 2 in the game. But yeah, just the overwhelming amount of options he has, and the fact that like combos are really consistent. He has like really good neutral. He can keep continuing pressure with Gamma Blade. They buffed Gamma Blade a lot since the beta, and now it's like a really strong pressure tool. Yeah, he's just ridiculous. And like every facet. He has a DP too, which some other similar characters like Eno and Millia, who are like Vortex characters, don't have that DP, which DP RC is really strong in this game, so that's something that can be abused. Is Chipp winning tournaments? He's not winning as much as Soul. I want to say Samito won probably the biggest Japanese tournament so far. Samito is like really the only one putting in tons of work. There's a few American Chipps, but none of them have been putting as much work as Samito. Oh, and the fact that Samito, Goichi, okay, so Goichi and Kazunoko are both known for like playing the cheapest shit, and they're both playing Chipp. That should tell you something. That should tell you something. Not to mention like a bunch of Japanese players also think he's top 1. Okay, so let's talk about Ram. I think this is in the correct order. I think Ram is one of these characters I don't think people are sure, like fully sure about her strength. You know, some people are like, Ram's top 1, look at this infinite block string. She doesn't have infinite block string, guys. You can get out of the sword throw loops, but just her neutral, the amount of space she controls, she's a true gorilla. And not to mention the reward she gets. She can wall break you from like a half screen combo. She can continue your corner pressure ridiculously long. She uses RC very well with her. What's the move that covers like the whole screen and then you RC it? She uses the jump system very well with jump S and jump HS. Very hard to anti-air. Not to mention, she probably has the best reversal super in the game. If you're jumping, like trying to do a safe jump, and you just happen to block it, you get sent full screen. It's safe. This crazy amount of damage. You get good Oki. May's one of those characters. I think she's really easy to use, and she may fall off a little bit as time goes on because I don't think there's that much to explore with her. But the fact that she's so easy to use and so effective, she's really hard to beat in neutral. Her jump-ins are really strong, really fast. Dolphin's really annoying to deal with. The fact that she can like hit one dolphin and then just like wall break you for like crazy amount of damage, or she gets one command grab. Her command grab is easily the best in the game. The fact that you get a full combo off of it and can wall break, it's actually insane. So even though she's not that complex, just the sheer amount of risk reward that's in her favor, I think keeps her up here. But yeah, nothing about her screams like cheap like Soul or Chipp. Except the command guy. That command guy's too good. And then Leo, I think Leo might be the surprise for up here, but I think Leo actually deserves to be up here. I mean, it's pretty funny because people were like doomsdaying Leo when he first came out because from the beta, this cross up used to give you a full combo and now it doesn't. And so people are like, oh, Leo's bomb one, just grab on that cross up every time. First of all, that's really hard to do consistently. I still can't quite do it, although I'm pretty good at it. His back turn mix-ups are completely unreactable, do crazy amount of damage. If you get hit once in the corner back turn, you're pretty much lost a round. I think his DP is ridiculous. DP RC is actually ridiculous. It's very hard to stop that kind of pressure. So just the fact that he's pretty good on defense, his neutral is actually pretty good too. He has I think a relatively strong fireball that can be kind of hard to deal with. And his buttons are pretty good. The fact that he has like decent walk speed, he can just like 5k, or he can throw fireball, or he can like just do the cross up slash or the regular slash. And then the I think it's 5S or 5H. It just seems like he has a really well-rounded kit. And then when he gets in, he just mixes your shit. And it's really scary. Let's talk about B tier actually. So I think B tier, I think it's I think Kai, Anji, and then Ino. I think it's in this order. And so yeah, so I play Ino, so I'll probably go off on her a little bit. I think Ino's honestly pretty good, but I think she's very technical and she requires a lot of work to do the same thing that some of these characters can do. Has very low health. I want to say like it feels like you're kind of getting away with gimmicks half the time, because if people get really consistent with mashing out a stroke or throwing the heavy stroke or mashing the right normal after dive kick, it really weakens her. Why I don't think she's bomb one is I think her mix is still really potent and she has answers for everything, right? If you block a jump in from her, she has answers to deal with whatever you throw out. Her 6p is actually ridiculous. It might be the best 6p in the game, so it's kind of scary to jump in on her. She can just kind of throw out neutral and beat any mid poke. And same thing with stroke. They do very well at dealing with certain matchups. And even like Ino versus Soul, even though like Soul's like crazy strong, Ino has pretty good tools to deal with Soul because a lot of his stuff doesn't actually catch the low profile. But yeah, other than that, like I just think the risk reward oftentimes is in her favor. You dive kick, you get 5% compared to getting anti-aired for like 50% against Soul. And like just Node's really slow, and there's like probably half the cast you can't do Node against because they can just react with something. So for example, Soul can just do Vortex, Ram can just do Sword Throw. Makes it pretty scary. Kai, I think, is down here too. This one might be a little bit surprising, but and it might be because like I just think of Kai as like a worse version of Soul. Kai like just doesn't have anything that sticks out to me, right? He has good pokes. I think his strengths are in poking. His block strings are kind of meh. If you can react to the flip with like a 5p, then he doesn't really have very good ways to repressure you. The specials he can cancel into can be punished in certain situations. Like you have to be very rigid with your block pressure, I feel. Yeah, you just kind of have to play neutral, and other characters do that better than you. And once you get in, it's really hard to open someone up compared to, say, pretty much everyone on the cast. So if this character had like godlike neutral, I would think he'd be higher, but I think he gets out neutraled by a good amount of the cast, unfortunately. And then once you get in, it's kind of hard to get your game started. Anji, I actually think Anji's not that bad, which is why I have them all in B tier. I don't think like any of these characters are unplayable in tournaments. I mean, I do pretty well with Ino. now. Anji player Jiro-san got second at one of the most recent Japan tournaments. Lots of good strong players, including beating Samito twice. So yeah, pretty good. Pretty good character, right? Which shows you like just the viability and why I have the tiers pretty condensed here. It just feels like Anji's neutral's really lacking. Like once he gets in, he can really mix you, but he kind of has to rely on spin. But a lot of characters have good options against spin, and he can't do stuff like butterfly because it's too laggy, and some of his buttons aren't very good in neutral. So I feel like a lot of characters can dance around him in neutral, and then you need 50 meter to bust out. That can be pretty hard. And then Faust, I mean, what is there to say besides the memes of Faust, right? I don't know. Faust, I think, actually has the most potential to go up on this. I actually think Faust, like, is just very technical, and there's a lot of setups and stuff you need to learn. Honestly, like, the risk reward is just not in your favor in any part of the screen, it feels. Like, it feels like, you know, you want to zone out people with Axl, but it's a lot easier to get in, and you can disrespect them a lot easier. I do think where his potential is on Oki, like getting the right item combination and mixing up with that, whether it be like bomb strings or doing cross-ups or fuzzies with overhead. But I think he's just really hard, and you could play Axl, who's like a way easier version of Faust if you want to zone people out. But I do think this character has potential. Like, give Nage like a couple more months to master Faust, and I think he'll be up there. But yeah, he's just a crazy amount of work. And then yeah, maybe like I could see out of all these characters, I could see Ino and Faust like start to prove people wrong and like start to place better in tournaments, but they're not going to do it right away because of their technical nature. And then yeah, everyone else I have mid tier. I think Potemkin is actually pretty slept on. Maybe I put probably Giovanna, Potemkin, Nago, Zato, Axl, Millia. I think that's the order I go with. I don't know about Gio. Gio's like so basic. I feel like she's gonna fall off a little bit, but her tools are just relatively strong. Her neutral's relatively strong. She could play strike throw, probably like just as good as Soul. The thing is, like, I feel like it's hard to, I don't know, some of her normals are just so strong. Like being able to do sweep, just mashing sweep is so good with her. Being able to do dash 5S is so good with her. There's not too much to say. She's pretty basic, but she's effective. The only gap I think is really high is like B plus and then B. I think this is where the biggest gap is. A to B. A to B plus. I think this is where the biggest gap is. After that, I think all these characters are pretty similar. It's just some of the characters in B are like hard to play. I think Pot is super slept on, real talk, which is why I have him up here. And so I think he's better than Nago or Zato. I think people are starting to realize like how good PRC option select is with command grab. I think people are starting to realize like how good Garuda is, and the fact that you can BRC after Garuda and just like mix their shit so hard. You can do like Mega Fist is really strong defensively. I mean, like he has a trouble neutral, but like once he gets in, it's kind of a wrap. Pot players are going to start optimizing their set play, and it's just going to be so scary. Not to mention Fab is putting in like a crazy amount of work with Potemkin. Fab beat Deb in the 10v10 actually, like pretty convincingly. There's not too much out of him yet. I mean, like there's Shine in the States that is putting in work, there's Fab in Japan, but like Potemkin's just not entering tournaments. Once like the really strong Potemkins start entering tournaments, it's going to be a wrap. I'm telling you guys. Nago, I think Nago is really strong. He kills you in like one hit, right? Like you get put in proc pressure that's practically infinite, but again, he struggles in neutral, so he has this kind of like lopsided matchup chart. So I think he kind of ends up in the middle of the tier list, but his risk reward and rock paper scissors is like top notch because the reward he gets off of everything is crazy good. And yeah, Hammerfall artsy is like so good too. Pod just uses meters so well. Zato is another one of his characters I think has potential to go up. I think Zato just takes a lot of effort to get working, but his neutral's pretty good. The pressure is just absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, other than that, like his neutral pressure is just really strong. He uses meter really, both his supers are really good. Not too much to say. I think Zato's strong. Axl's like one of those characters. I feel like if you can react to his stuff, he's not that strong. I saw this on Twitter. This is like one of the most fucked up things I've ever seen. The fact that like once people get good at like punishing his command grab and reacting to it, you can do crazy fucked up shit like this. And he's literally just dead for doing one command grab. So I feel like once people get used to Axl, like you're just not gonna be able to command grab, and then you just start dying for it. I think Axl, this is gonna be his appropriate spot. But if you can abuse command grab, I think this character's higher. That's kind of my opinion. But his zoning's pretty good, and he's very easy to use, which I think is definitely a plus. And then Millia, again, Millia's another one of these characters I think has the potential to go up. Ridiculous set play, very good neutral, but just dies in like one hit and doesn't have the best defensive options. And I think the set play has answers in this game, but I think the main weakness of Millia is just she's hard to play and the neutral seems like kind of suspect. Like you kind of just have to abuse her air dashes and you can't really like use her ground pokes that well because she doesn't have like Unga buttons. You have to really think when you're playing Millia neutral and you can't just like throw shit out. That's kind of how it feels, at least on the ground. So you kind of have to weave in and out. But yeah, that's kind of what my thoughts are. So let's compare my tier list to a couple people. Oh yeah, so Jay-Wong put a tier list out and it's actually really similar to mine, I feel. But let me see if I can find the Japanese tier list. I feel like I have an American tier list, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so yeah, Kojiko, Goichi, Dogoro, and Kayami had a talk, made some tier lists. So yeah, pretty similar. I think Japan honestly places Millia higher than most characters. Yeah, other than that, I'd say like this, my tier list is very similar except the Millia placement to this, and obviously Chipp being S tier. I think this is crazy with Nago and Potemkin being this low, but other than that, it's pretty similar to my tier list, right? That's actually a really interesting take. I think both these characters are kind of slept on. Nago and Pot. I could kind of see like the argument, like how slow they are, and it's hard to get in. Ram B tier is kind of nuts on this one. This is probably like the closest one. I noticed a lot of people are putting, yeah, my bottom 4. This is like my bottom 4 is part of their bottom 5. Yeah, they definitely seem to underrate Nago and Potemkin and overrate Millia compared to my lists. Zato is S tier. That's a hot take. Yeah, Millia's higher, Nago's lower. We have Fame over here, so that's probably why. And then here's Koichi tier list. Potemkin and Nago lower for me. Leo's pretty low in this one. It's pretty similar. It's pretty similar. Yeah, Millia's so much higher in all of them. So maybe Japan knows something we know. Millia's actually top 5, and they'll prove us all wrong. And maybe our Nagos and Fab will prove Japan wrong about Nago and Potemkin being bad. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah, Leo's pretty low on this one, but I think all the other ones had Leo pretty high. Yeah, Leo's pretty high. Leo's B tier there. Leo's top 4 in this one. That's actually higher than I have it. Let me know what you guys think about my tier list and compared to the Japanese tier list. I think it's pretty interesting seeing the difference between the two. But yeah, if you like the content, please consider like, sharing, subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great day.